Okay, welcome guys. It's the Sports Coffee weekly sports chat, sponsored by our friends from InsureWise. Any insurance needs, you can get in touch with them. Today's guest, we have a professional footballer who's currently playing for Harrogate Town in League Two. It's Connor Hall. So Connor, how are you?
Hi mate, yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. It's great to have you on. So, just going to go through. We sort of met many moons ago when you were at FE College at West Suffolk College. So before you got to college, before you got to your 16 to 18 sort of football, what sort of football involvement had you had before you getting into the sports academy at West Suffolk College?
Yeah, so obviously my whole life has been football. So I started off at a young age of like the local ones, Cambridge, Peterborough, flicking between the two. And then I think I was at Cambridge and we played a friendly against Derby and Leicester at Leicester's training ground, and done really well there in front of a few of their scouts. So Leicester invited me for a 6-week trial.
Okay. So
I went down there, had a trial with them. Only lasted 2 weeks, and after the 2 weeks, I scored on my debut against Derby in my trial period. So yeah, within 2 weeks, they'd already said like, we want to sign you, really interested in you. Like, would you be up for it? So yeah, so within 2 weeks, I'd signed for Leicester. I think it was under 10s. I think it was. So yeah, signed for them. But I wasn't there for too long, to be honest. It was probably less than a season, and it's probably the worst involvement in a football team I've ever had in my life. It was the worst time in my football career, to be honest.
Okay. Was that because of the coach inside, or just not enjoying the way they get provided?
One, but the coaches, the coaches just weren't for me. Like you see on even in the pro game, some coaches aren't for some players, some coaches are for some players. But the two coaches I had there weren't for me at all. Really didn't like them, and just knocked all the confidence out of me, to be honest, and stopped me from enjoying football. And I remember being on holiday with my family, and my dad said to me, "Oh, you've got a game when you get back." I said, "Oh, I'm not. I'm injured." I told the physio I'm injured. He was like, "Oh, like you're not injured. You're fine." And that's when the crack started. And he sort of said to me, like, "Do you actually still want to be here, like playing for them?" And I said, "To be honest, no, I don't. Like, I don't like it. I hate going there. I used to have to go 4 times a week." Wow. At the age of 10.
Big commitment.
Finish school, and straight away my mum would be in the car park ready to pick me up. I'd get changed in the car, just get there in time to start training, then get home 10 at night, and then back to school. I'd do that on a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. So yeah, it was a big commitment, and it wasn't just the commitment side of things. The commitment side of things were fine, but it was just the coaches in general just knocked everything out of me, stopped me enjoying it. And so I left them and just went and played for my old team at a local field 5 minutes from my house with all my mates, and that's what got me enjoying football again.
So how did you get? Because I know you're originally from St Neots, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get yourself to Bury St Edmunds?
So I then went. I can't remember what age. I signed for a team in Cambridge called Willenham Wolves.
Okay. Yeah.
And Ray Goose was the manager at the time because his son was playing there, Jamie.
Sure. Yeah.
Dean was first team goalkeeper at Bury. So he sort of said there was a few of us, there's about 5 or 6 of us that used to go on a Monday night to Bury to train for the college team a year before we was going to go to college. And obviously they would then choose the players they wanted. In half term, we'd go down for a day session with the actual college team and stuff, and train with them. So that's how I got into it, really, through Dean. I kept going every Monday night, and then when it got to me actually going to college, I decided to choose that I wanted to go to West Suffolk and play football every day. Yeah.
So was that a good stepping stone for you to get the idea of what a regular sort of pro would do on a weekly basis?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't really looking at it as to become a pro at the time there. Right. I was just more looking at it as I get an education and I get to train every day. I get to play football every day. I get to play loads of matches. And at the time, it was Ryman Prem, and it was a good good level of football to get into the first team. So I was sort of like, that's what made me want to go there, just for the football side of things, really. Because obviously the education side, I could have gone local and gone down the road, done exactly the same course. But no, I really wanted to go and just train and play football and be within a football team on a regular basis. That's what made me pick that. And to be fair, before going pro, they were probably the best years of my life, really. Like training every day with a group of people, no stress in the world, no bills to pay. Like just woke up in the morning, roll out of bed, put my football gear on and go off to college and go and train every day. Like it was brilliant. I loved every minute of it.
So obviously you played in the same team as obviously Nick Pope. Is there ever players in the time you were at the college which you thought actually, you know, looking back, they could possibly have been, you know, able to get to where you are now?
There was a couple. To be fair, I was quite lucky. We had a really good side, like for 2-3 years, a really good side. Luke Ingram stands out to me. When I first joined, he was, I thought like he's some player, to be fair. And I thought he could have been one that went full time. And I think there was a bit of interest as well from clubs in full time for him to go to. Nothing obviously materialised of that, but yeah, he's definitely a standout player that I think could have maybe made it, to be fair to him. But again, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But like I say, there was a lot of good players in that team, and it showed us when we went on them FA Youth Cup runs for 2 years. We've done really well in the FA Youth Cup.
No, definitely. So going from there, so you obviously played. You had a good grounding because you played in the Bury Town's first team for a few seasons. So then, when you left there, you went to Biggleswade.
When I left there, where did I go to?
Biggleswade and then Brackley, isn't it?
No, it was St Neots. Went to St Neots.
Oh, St Neots. And then
so I was obviously at Bury. No, I was back in pre-season to try and I had an operation in the off season, and then went to go back there to be up and running, to then pass the rest of my medical. Still wasn't up and running. I was still in a lot of pain with my hips. So I went to see the consultant again. And basically that was a course of 18 months of me having an operation. So in the end, I had 4 operations.
Wow.
2 on my right hip, 1 on my left groin and 1 on my left hip. And that was a total of 18 months of me being out of football. And Cambridge then said to me, like, you've been out for too long, we're not going to sign you. So it's sort of like, right, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth after being out for that long. And all along they were saying to me, yeah, we're still going to sign you. No problems. I was going into training to get back fit. And then that happened. So I just decided, look, I'm going to go back to Bury. I know everyone there. I'm comfortable with the club. Okay. I put my time there. So I went back there. Obviously, it wasn't the best season. A lot of stuff had happened since I'd previously been there. And it was quite a difficult season for us. So come the end of that season, I did, to be fair, fall out of love with football again. And I remember saying, like, look, I'm just going to go and play local to me. I can't be bothered with travelling anymore. I'm fine with travelling to away games because I've only got to go get in my car for 5 minutes and get to St Neots. And they do the rest of the work for taking you to away games. So that's what I did. But then the manager at the time played a certain style of football that a lot of us didn't like and a lot of the fans didn't like. And I sort of voiced my opinion to him that I wanted to leave. Didn't want to kick off at all. Just generally picked up the phone to him, rang him and said, look, I really want to leave. I'm not enjoying it. I don't like being here, basically. And he's had a 45-minute conversation to try and convince me to stay, to trust the process, believe it's going to work. It never did work. And then we had a little bit of an argument after one of the games, to be fair. He sort of called me a few words, so I called him a few, and I went back in on that Tuesday and said to him, look, that's me done here now. Like, I'll bring my kit back. If you want me to stay to watch the game, then I'll stay. But I won't be playing for you again. So that was it. He said, no, you don't have to stay. To be fair, someone had to buy me out of my contract. So actually, Bury bought me out of my contract to get out of St Neots because they were being awkward and wouldn't just let me leave. Yeah. So yeah, I went back to Bury, and And then the end of that season, to be fair, I said, yeah, I'll stay at Bury. I'm happy here. I've got no interest in going anywhere else. But then I think Cambridge City manager had tried getting me before. And then he come in for me again at the end of the season. And I sort of said, look, I'll go and speak to him just out of courtesy because he tried getting me a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to stay at Bury. So I spoke to him and he sort of spoke money. And it's not always all about money, but he spoke money. And Bury were obviously in a tough time and couldn't really offer a lot of money. So it sort of made me think, like, hang on a minute, I could still play a lot closer to home and get more money and get a decent amount of money here. But I didn't want to go to Cambridge City. There was Biggleswade, which was even closer for me. And a lot of the ex-Bury lads were at Biggleswade, like Smudge, Lee Smith, Sam Reed, Lee Reed, Mark Coulson, Evan Key. So I thought, look, I'd rather go there because I know all them boys and I don't know anyone at Cambridge City. So I messaged the gaffer on Twitter, actually, and said to him, like, would you be interested in signing me? He goes, yeah, 100%. Like, I tried signing you last season when you was at St Neots, but they wouldn't let you come to the same league. So I went and met him at his house, actually. And within about half an hour, we'd agreed a deal. And I was signing for them. And to be fair, that was the start of me progressing into full-time, because I absolutely loved every minute of being there for 2 years. The gaffer was unbelievable for me. He just said to me, look, go out and play football, enjoy it. And you've got nothing else to worry about. I'm not going to be on your case or anything. Just go and play football. And that's exactly what I did. Got Player of the Year both years. And yeah, it got me my chance to move to Brackley in the Conference North. Okay. And then after Brackley, I got myself to Harrogate in full time.
That's brilliant. So I'm going to dip into the guest questions because one sort of links into what you've just said there, Connor. One saying, were you always looking to progress at the leagues in your 20s? Obviously, you've touched on the fact that you'd had a bit of a stale time and you weren't sure what you were going to do and you weren't that interested in travelling. But obviously, then you had a really good period with Biggleswade, and then I guess once you start playing well, enjoying your football, then the quality comes out and you've won 2 player season awards, then other teams are looking for you, aren't they? So like you said, Brackley have come in, and I'm guessing that answers the question quite simply.
So when it wasn't the good times in football, I sort of was thinking, nah, it's not going to happen for me. It's not going to happen. Like that's me done. I'm just going to be playing local here and just try and make as much money as I can, being a part-time footballer. But then when I went to Biggleswade, I always had that in the back of my head, like, I think I can still make it. I've still got a chance to make it. But never really put 100% commitment into it. And then I went to Biggleswade and I was doing well. People, whether there was interest or not, but people started talking. So then I started to like really think, right, let's give it a go here. Like, I'm not going to have this chance again. I'm sort of young enough still to be able to get a move. So
how old were you when you were at Biggleswade? About 24, 25?
So I was thinking like 24. Once I get to 24, that's going to be it for me. Like it's not going to happen after that. So I was there at 23 and 24, but I put a lot of effort in, like with working with a strength and conditioning coach to get myself in the best shape I could be in. And it proved on the pitch, to be fair. I was playing well. Even though then, thinking 24, that'll probably be it for me. But because I got that move to then Brackley, then people are saying, oh, like you can go again then. You're in the Conference North, like it's a good step up. So I played there and I think I was only there for about 8 months. Was it 8 months? This might have been about 6 months. It wasn't even the end of the season yet, and Harrogate had already put 2 offers in for me.
Did you have any connections at Harrogate, or was it just a move out of the blue?
To be fair, I got an agent when I went to Conference North.
Okay.
And to be fair to him, he got them to come and watch me. Right. I remember I'd been out for 6 weeks. I'd chipped a bit of bone in my leg, so I was out for 6 weeks, and I think I'd done 1 training session back on a Thursday, started on a Saturday, and then we had a game on a Tuesday night, Chorley away in Manchester. And I was obviously still working at the time. And I remember working, I was meant to finish at like 2 o'clock to meet the bus, and it overran. I remember driving from Stevenage all the way up to Chorley on my own, getting there for like 7:15, half an hour till kickoff, got changed, went out and played, and I knew that Harrogate were coming to watch me. And then the next day, waking up, my agent said to me, "Look, how do you feel? Would you want to go full time with Harrogate Town?" I said, "100%. Like, I want to play full time." Where? He said, "Okay, well, they're interested and they're going to put in a bid for you." So that was the start of it, really, for me at Harrogate. They put in a bid, it got rejected. Then they put in another bid, and that got rejected as well. So they sort of just said, like, "Look, we're going to have to leave it." I only had till the end of that season anyway left on my contract. So it was like, "Hey, we'll leave it and we'll reassess it in the summer." We got into the playoffs, and to be fair, Harrogate always talks to me throughout the rest of that season, like just making sure I was well, making sure I was playing well. And I remember after the playoffs, we lost on penalties in the semi-final, and on my way home from the playoffs, they'd already messaged my agent saying, "Look, I know he's going to be a bit tender to talk to because he's just lost, but just let him know that we really want to sign him. We want to meet up with him as soon as possible." So I had the choice between them and a League Two side. I won't mention the League Two side, but I had a choice between them and the League Two side, and I just thought there was two offers on the table. And to be fair, Harrogate's offer was better, but also what convinced me was the way they were speaking to me during the season. After the season, as soon as it finished, they were on the phone. Like, they were really keen to sign me, a lot more keener than the League Two side. So you sort of think, you weigh it up whether, do you go League Two and try and play as high as possible, or do you go to another team that could be a stepping stone and play every week? Because I knew how keen
it's a bit of a gamble, especially, I guess, at the age you were. It was a bit of a gamble, but you've got to go with your heart, really, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. And because I'd been out for so long, 18 months, being injured, I've always said that wherever I go, I just want to play football. I don't want to be sitting on the bench. I don't want to waste my time because I've wasted 18 months of my career.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to Harrogate in the end. And to be fair, first season with him, it couldn't have gone any better.
So you won promotion?
Yeah, so we won promotion in the playoffs at Wembley.
Yeah. So it was a question I was going to ask you, so we may as well go on to that. To play at Wembley must have been a dream, but then to actually score in the final to get your team, well on the way to beating Notts County in the final must have been just, every boy's dream, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like I say, just leading up to the semi-final and the final, like the semi-final, I was more nervous for than the final because it's sort of like, there's a chance of getting to Wembley here. And then obviously the final, it's like, you're at Wembley. I'm playing at Wembley. I can tick that off. I played at Wembley. And then you're sort of thinking, if we lose, okay, going to be gutted, but at least I played at Wembley. And then it come down to the day of the game, and we was all sitting there at breakfast in the hotel, and it was just like there was a buzz around us, and the lads were saying, like, we really feel like we can win this today. Like, we feel good. Notts County were probably the informed team before coronavirus came, and then obviously done well in the semi-final. So they were sort of favourites, to be fair, but we'd seen how they played, and we knew how we wanted to play and how we played in the semi-final, and we just knew that as long as we turned up and played the way we played, we would rip them apart. They wouldn't be able to cope with how much energy we had. So we was all really confident going into the game, to be fair, and obviously it showed in the first half at Wembley. We absolutely blew them away. 2-0 up at half time, absolutely cruising. And then they had sort of a spell of 15 minutes in the second half where they got back into it. But you sort of say, fair enough, they had to come at us in the second half to try and get anything from the game. Luckily, we managed to just hold it to just a one goal they scored. And then later on in the game, we killed the game off. And then won at Wembley. It's just an unbelievable feeling. Even though the fans weren't there, we've all said it, well, if the fans were there, Notts County would have brung a lot more than us, and it could have been a different day because of their fans. So we took that.
So touching that, another question for you. Obviously with the coronavirus and everything and the scenarios, how different as a footballer has it been this season? Just for training and games you know, we obviously with no crowds, obviously having the testing done. So it must be massively different as a footballer to the environment and to sort of motivate yourself to, you know, get out for all the games, I guess.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think with the fans back, yes, it's nice to play in front of fans and the atmosphere, but it hasn't really affected me, I'd say, to be fair. Like the semi-final of the playoffs last season, my old man said to me, what was it like to play with no fans? And I said, you know what? Didn't even think about it until you just asked that question. So it didn't really affect me too much. Yeah, it'll be great once fans can come back. It'll feel like a proper game, but at the minute it's still football. You're still getting paid for it. You're in a league that's competitive, so you want to win, you want to do well. So I think that sort of gets you up for games in itself. But in terms of COVID and the protocols you have to go through now, it's becoming draining, very draining, because obviously there's more restrictions that have come in as of late. So we can only drive in by ourselves. We have to then be apart on buses. We stay in our own hotel rooms now for away games. We don't share with anybody else. So yeah, it's a long process, but you got to respect it, and it's got to be done. Obviously, the face masks and stuff. But it is the way it is, and everyone's got to adapt, and not just in football but in life. So yeah, it's sort of affected us, but at the end of the day, we're lucky that we can still go to work and play football.
No, definitely. So going back a little bit, who's been your biggest influence, would you say, as you know, to get you where you are now, as a footballer?
So apart from my family, I would say there's not just one person. I think there's always a few people along the way. Like So I would say a standout person for me, Wilkes, giving me my first start at Bury at such a young age, believing in me, having the faith in me. And I always remember we had a Suffolk Premier Cup semi-final, and he started me in it, and it went to penalties. And he said, right, I'm going to name out 5 players that are taking a penalty. And I was one of the 5. So that was sort of like, straight away there, gave me the confidence that I needed to take that penalty, because he believed in me. At such a young age, to be able to go and take a penalty, at the time, a massive thing for me. I was 16, I think I was, to go and take a penalty. And I think there was about 1,000 fans there to get to the final at Portman Road. And luckily, I scored. And we got to Portman Road. So, yeah, I'll definitely say Wilkes is one of them. And then the gaffer at Biggleswade, to be fair, Chris Nunn. Like the 2 years I had there was brilliant. He was the first one to open a beer on the way back from an away game, whether we won or lost. Always at the back of the bus with the boys having a laugh. And to be fair, he didn't live too far from me, so we'd get off the bus and get a taxi into a place called Bedford, and we'd go for an all-you-can-eat Chinese, and he'd pay for it, and then my missus would come pick us up, drop him home, and take me home. Like we've done that quite a lot, to be fair, and I still talk to him now, like frequently. Well, he always asks how I am. We always have a good chat on the phone and a good catch up. So yeah, definitely them two stick out for me.
No, that's brilliant. So going back to, you said about Wembley was a massive experience and a dream. What about you making your debut in the football league? What was that like? Did you have lots of nerves on that day, or was it just like another game?
Yeah, it was just another game, to be honest. Like I was at a team where I'm comfortable at. It wasn't like I've signed for a new team. It's a step up. It is a step up in leagues, but I haven't signed for a team to go up into a new league. So I was around the same sort of people. And again, there was no fans. So yeah, it didn't really have that added pressure. It was just sort of like, right, it's another game. Yes, in League Two. Let's go give it a good crack. And on that day we did. We went and won, I think it was 4 or 5-0. So yeah, in terms of, it was brilliant to make my debut and for us to win, keep a clean sheet. But it didn't really sit in my head that it's my league debut today, sort of thing. Like it was just another game to me, to be honest. So
you obviously came up with Barrow as well, and you've got Salford in there, and you've got teams that have been in the football, the conference recently. Do you think there is a massive, obviously from the games you've played so far, do you think there's a massive difference between the conference and the football league? or is it quite similar now? Is it the,
so
gap?
From an outside, before we went into this league, I sort of thought you do get a few teams that go National League to League Two to go straight up again or finish really high up in League Two. So I did think, there's obviously not that much of a difference, but playing it, I do feel like there is a difference, a big difference in the National League and League Two. And I think that's shown this season with, before our last 3 or 4 games, obviously us and Barrow were quite low to the bottom and struggled a little bit, to be fair. So I think that shows that the level is a lot bigger than people think. And I think as well, I don't know whether it's just because of this season, because of playing a lot of games Saturday, Tuesday, it's a lot more demanding. And especially the way we play with lots of energy. So to be able to try and do that week in, week out, twice a week, it is tough. But yeah, I do definitely think there's a step up, and it's not a close step up as well.
Oh, okay. So touching on that, from a personal level, you've been in 4 times in the team in a week so far.
4 or 5 times, yeah. I think I got it. Yeah. I got it at the weekend as well. So
at the weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
So that for you, that must be, again, an amazing feeling that you're being recognised by, the EFL, whoever puts the teams together, that you're performing to a top level in a league that you've only just, started playing in. So that must give you a lot of confidence going forward, thinking, I'm capable of playing this level. Do you your ambitions as a player, Connor? Are you looking to obviously try and get as far as you can?
Yeah, so I think it's nice to get them accolades from the league. It's nice to know that you're doing well. In terms of my own ambition, like every player, you want to play as high as possible. In the summer, I had a lot of interest in a League One club, a really big League One club. They put an offer in, to be fair, to Harrogate in the summer. But the 2 clubs were quite far away in their estimations of how much they valued me. So that was going on a little bit in the summer. Went on a little bit too long for me, to be fair, and sort of affected me at the start of the season a little bit, because it was still in my head that am I gonna move? Am I gonna get this? Is it gonna happen? Yeah. But I think with the salary cap and as well as COVID, it didn't happen because of that. And that would have been massive. And obviously another step up at League One, but it didn't happen. I got my head around it after a couple of months, and then started performing well again. And then obviously I only had a year left on my contract, so it was running out at the end of the season. But I didn't really want it to get to the end of the season to run out, because I've got a family and stuff, and I could get injured later on this season, and that's me done. And to be fair, I was keen, if I could get the right deal with Harrogate, I was keen to stay at Harrogate. Like, they've been brilliant for me. I enjoy my football there. I continue to enjoy my football there. Yes, it's another step up, and maybe in a couple of years we could make another step up into League One. So they sat down with me and said, look, we want to keep you, obviously. How do you feel about staying? I said, yeah. I said, look, if I can get what I feel I need and deserve, then I'm happy to commit, and I want to commit long term. I want to commit for a long period of time, so I've got that security as well. So they were like, right, that's fine. We're happy to do that. So let's sit down and talk. So obviously I'm in a long contract now, but so my ambitions are obviously with the club, but it's only as far as the club will go, whether they'll go to League One or whether we stay in League Two, or depending on them next few seasons. But yeah, in terms of my personal ambitions, I want to play as high as possible. So I'd love to get to the next step if I can, whether that's me staying with Harrogate or doing well enough to get another move. But I don't see why it couldn't be with Harrogate. So yeah, if we can get to League One, let's just step up, see how I get on, and see where it goes from there.
It's really good. I guess at this time, the current climate as well, it's really good that the club have committed to giving you a long-term deal, because I know there's lots of clubs out there that are only giving short-term deals and yearly deals at the moment. So they must obviously think highly of you as a club as well, which is must again give you that confidence going forward as an individual player. So
yeah. When I said to him about the length of contract I wanted, they did say to me, look, we don't usually offer this length of contract, but we're willing to do it. And that, to be fair, that was in the back of my head, like, as why I wanted a long contract because of COVID. I saw players' contracts run out last summer, and then have to go and work on a building site until football got back up and running again, and not knowing where their money was coming in. And that's one thing that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I had that over my head. So that was a massive thing for me of why I wanted it to be that long. And yeah, to be fair to the club, fair play to them, they committed to that, and yeah, we managed to get that deal, and now I can rest easy a little bit, but continue to get my head down and work hard and try and progress and become a better player myself.
No, definitely. So I've got another slightly random question from a guest that messaged in earlier. It was, what is it like playing with Alex Bradley when he was on loan at Harrogate? He played. I think he now plays at Yeovil in League Two.
Yeah, he's a great lad, to be fair. He was one of my closest mates when I was at Harrogate. Really good lad. He burst onto the scene, to be fair. He started his first game for us without even training because he was at Lincoln at the time, and he scored the winner against Stockport at home. And then, to be fair, picked up a few more goals and played in a right back position as well, and done really well there, to be fair to him. But no, he's a great lad. Really enjoyed my time there with him, and he was also he used to stay in the hotel with me when I stayed up there. So yeah, we got on really well, and we still talk now. Still speak to him, and get on really well with him.
There's your little one.
Here she is. You're on camera. Yeah,
famous. That's fun.
There you go, man.
Cool. So the next one I'm going to ask you was, where are we at? How do you relax? How do you relax when you're not in your football environment? So what? Obviously, you've got a little one, which obviously we've just.
I don't relax.
You don't relax.
No. What do I do to relax? Don't know. Well, at the moment, there's not really much we can do. No. But no,
are you a gamer? Do you play Xbox? Do you play with any of the teammates, anything like that, or?
Used to be a bit of a gamer, but now obviously with a family, I just don't really have the time, or because I'm traveling all the time. It's when I get home, I want to be with my little one. So I think it's not really relaxing, but just playing with my little girl, being at home, being in the house. Just being at home and.
Well, it just takes your mind off everything, doesn't it? When you've got a little one,
yeah,
you're not thinking about your last game or what's coming up, or I've got to drive, I've got to go to training, I've got to go to a match. Yeah. You can just, like you say, just have a chill out and spend quality time with.
Yeah, when I get home, I try to forget about it, because there used to be a time where results would affect me, and then when I come home, it would still be affecting me. And it's to have a little one as well, and to be fair on my partner, it's unfair to bring it home, so I sort of have to try and forget about it. And I got better at that, to be fair. So yeah, when I get home, it's like, all right, switch off from football now. But it's still in the back of your head a little bit, but you just got to try and control it. And
yeah, definitely. So I'm just gonna wrap it up, Connor, because I appreciate you've been on, spent some time with us today. Last question from me is, where do you see yourself for the rest of this season? Obviously, you've had a really good start. Personally, you've had a really good start to the season. What are the ambitions for your team and yourself for the current season?
Yeah, I think obviously for me, try and keep a high level of performance every week. Be really consistent. Try and play every game now to the end of the season. I've only missed one game, and that was through suspension. And then for the club, I think we just got to aim to be as high as possible and just stay clear of the drop zone. We've managed to get a little gap from it the last few weeks by getting back-to-back wins. And yeah, just keep trying to do well, keep performing well as a team, and see how high we can climb the table. And then I think reassess things at the end of the season and really push to then climb up the table even more next season and get a step closer to maybe the playoffs if we can.
Yeah, and hopefully by next season you'll have fans in, and it'll be more of a football feel for you. There's the restrictions have been lifted, and you can travel on the team buses together without any issues and things like that. So hopefully all of that will pick up, and have a good rest of the season, and like you say, and then build from that. So again,
we've also
sorry, Connor.
we've got another trip to Wembley, I think, with the FA Trophy, because obviously we played in it last year and we got to the final. So that hasn't been played yet. So I think there's talk of them doing a double header for last year's FA Trophy and this year's FA Trophy. Which is, I think they're looking to do it in like May time at the end of the season, which hopefully will mean that fans can then come to that, or a few fans, like it can be a trial period. So that'd be nice to get maybe a few fans there, and for my family to be able to be there as well to witness it this time. No,
definitely. So yeah, brilliant. So something to look forward to at the end of the season as well as the league is amazing. So again, Connor, appreciate your time. I know you're busy and you've had a game last night, so you still on recovery from last night. All the best for the season, and I hope to speak to you soon. So
all the best, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
You too.